Hello, good day everyone. I'm Sunny Cortez. I'm the focal person of Gender and Development in SDO Marikina. At gusto kong batiin ang lahat ng mga kasamahan ko sa God Focal Point System from the Division of Marikina. I would like also to greet the focal persons of 33 schools, both for elementary and secondary in the Schools Division of Marikina at syempre sa ating mga school heads who are and who will be on top of the gender and development program implementation in schools and the attribution for 2020. Ngayong araw na to, pag-uusapan natin sa video na ito, video tutorial na ito, pag-uusapan natin ang gender issues in education from general to specific. And then we will also talk about gender analysis. Mahalaga po ang gender issues dahil hindi tayo makakagawa ng mga God plan and budget kung hindi natin alam ang mga gender issues. And sa paggawa naman ng mga proyekto later on, kailangan natin magkaroon ng gender analysis. So, paano ba, ano ba mga issues at paano ba ginagawa ang gender analysis? Ano ba yung mga tanong na meron sa gender analysis? Okay? So let's start. I'll start sharing my screen and I'll start with the first document. So I'll go to, where's that here? Okay, I'll start with this one. Okay. So let's see this one. Okay. Malinaw ba? Malaki ba ang mga letters? And I'll also adjust my video. Okay. So God checklist for education projects. Ito ay general at marami tayong mapupulot dito na maaaring maging gabay natin sa ating pagbuo ng God plan and budget para sa proper implementation ng gender and development sa eskwelahan. So education projects or projects for the education sector encompass construction of facilities or the infrastructure, technical assistance for a sectoral review or preparation of a sector plan, development or revision of curricula, or educational materials, scholarships and training of teachers, and other education sector officials and personnel. The assistance may be for the entire sector, formal or informal education, or a particular level of formal education, whether that's in elementary, secondary, or tertiary. So at least dito nakita natin saan pwedeng gamitin, for example, ang ating fund for gender and development. No? Now, let's go to the issues. Ang issues na to ay mga general issues sa Department of Education. And then later on, we'll go to particulars, to specific issues. No? So education projects in the Philippines have to contend with a number of interrelated gender issues. That's according to NCR FW 2004. And what are these issues? Deteriorating quality of education at all levels, particularly in the rural areas, as better quality schools are found in town centers or urban areas. In areas with high indigenous peoples population, the distance from school and indifference to girls' education are unfavorable to females. So, kung sa lugar natin ay may mga ganitong mga issues, ano ba ang mga proyekto na pwede nating gawin to address these issues? The deterioration of quality of education at all levels, particularly in the rural areas. Kasi concentrated na lang doon sa mga urban areas ang maayos, magagaling na eskwelahan. Is that so? Sa ngayon ba, ganito pa rin ang ating sitwasyon. So in areas with high indigenous people's population, the distance from school, so they're now talking about distance from school. And in difference to girls, education are unfavorable to females. So may mga ganong issue ba kung sakali sa inyong area? Next, wide variations in literacy among regions. National female and male literacy rates are about the same, but some areas have significantly lower figures. So anong sinasabi dito? Literacy rates are lowest in the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao or ARMM and areas in Mindanao under armed conflict, with female literacy rates significantly lower than those of the males. Low male literacy rate is associated with the recruitment of men at a very young age to join armed conflict. So, especially, no, doon sa ARMM, kung sa inyong lugar hindi ito issue, sa ARMM, this appears to be an issue. And supposedly, doon sa region na yon, doon sa mga divisions na meron sila, anong mga proyekto ang meron supposedly to address this one. Na maaga pa yung mga bata nire-recruit na to join the armed groups. And truly, this is a problem, no? Truly, this is an issue which has to be solved. Okay. Next, generally, higher school dropout among boys as they leave school to work in the farm. So mas maraming mga kalalakihan, mga kabataang lalaki ang nagda-drop, no, from the school system because they work in the farms, in factories, in the markets, sa mga pier, or the streets. School participation of children is often bound with their work responsibilities to their family. Yeah, so is this an issue in your area? And if so, what particular project can you have to address this one? No? Okay. Kahit tayo sa Marikina may mga ganitong issues, no? Maraming mga kalalakihan ang nagda-drop. Kung tingnan natin ang sex-segregated data. That's the reason why sex-segregated data is very important. Because behind the number, meron yan ng issue na kailangan nating malaman. Bakit mas marami ang mga boys ang nagda-drop from the school system? No? Next. More women than men reach the tertiary education level. But women tend to flock into business administration and other overcrowded stereotyped feminine fields like teachers training, nursing, midwifery. O pag tinignan natin yan dyan, syempre mga kababaihan ng karamihan dyan. No? At marami ang nakakarating sa tertiary level, sa college education ng mga kababaihan. Kaya dito may issue rin. Ano ang nangyari sa mga kalalakihan? Mas marami ang mga kababaihan nakakarating. Kung nakita na nga natin kanina, mas maraming nagda-drop ng mga bata na kalalakihan in the process kasing iba nagtatrabaho na, no? At yan ba ay bahagi ng ating naging practice ng kultura? And as such, anong proyekto ang pwedeng gawin dyan? Pagdating naman sa pagpili ng mga courses, so ito, malaking tulong dito ng ating guidance office. Ano? Pagdating sa gender parity, gender equality in terms of choosing career. So pwede itong isama sa advocacy na dapat more or less pantay ang pagpili ng mga kurso kung hindi man perfectly pantay, almost. No? At dapat hindi nasasagkaan, hindi nalilimitahan kung gusto yun ng kababaihan o ng kalalakihan. We have to allow them. We have to give them an opportunity to choose such career. Okay, more women than men reach the tertiary level. Hindi, next na tayo. Despite efforts to revise the curricula and instructional materials at various levels, these materials continue to promote gender stereotypes, influencing young people's career choices. Ayan, mga instructional materials. Kaya tingnan natin, no, kahit sa ating preparation ng module, sa ating preparation ng mga aklat, kailangan hindi siya walang mga tawag nito, stereotyping in relation to choosing a career, no? Or a course, no? Kailangan nababago na natin ang ganong mindset, no? Next, gender-based harassment among students by teachers and of teachers by their superiors. Meron ba ganitong mga issues? The students were harassed by teachers and teachers were harassed by their superiors. If there are, so ano ang ating mga actions na pwede natin gawan ng project in relation to that, no? While there are more women than men among teachers, decision-making in the sector remains a male preserve. So kung makikita nyo, ironic ano kasi in the Department of Education, napakarami ng mga kababaihan in terms of number. Pero pag umakyat na tayo sa patas na posisyon, no, magbilang na tayo, siguro ilan ba ang mga kalalakihan at kababaihang regional directors? Sinong mas marami dyan? Babae ba o lalaki? Then punta na tayo doon sa national level. Mga assistant secretaries, mga undersecretaries. Well, at present, yung ating secretary is a woman. But of course, sa ibang mga panahon, hindi natin malalaman kung sino mga susunod na secretaries. And in terms of gender representation, pagdating doon sa matataas na level, makikita natin dyan, marami dyan mga kalalakihan. In fact, tinignan ko kahit nga sa sports committee, napaka-konti dyan ng kababaihan. Parang 2 lang yata out of 10. So 8, 80% ay mga kalalakihan. And in terms of decision making and concern para sa mga kababaihan, kung 2 lang ang nandoon sa committee, so magiging favorable ba para sa mga kababaihan din ang decisions? So yan. Sa politika, kung titingnan natin, sinong mas marami, even to our lawmakers in the Congress and the Senate, if we look at the number, sino ang mas marami? At syempre, pagdating sa decision-making process, kung sino dyan ang marami, mas maraming possible benefits na mapunta sa kanilang grupo. Bakit? Kasi they are well represented. That's why women have to be represented too. Para at least kung meron siyang equal or almost equal representation, ang parehong concerns ng kababaihan at kalalakihan ay may magdadala ng boses ng kababaihan at kalalakihan pagdating sa decision-making process. At para mag-benefit din sila at parehong ma-develop ang dalawa, kababaihan at kalalakihan. And such development ay magkakaroon ng effect hindi lang doon sa tao mismo, but rather sa ating bansa, ang pagiging maunlad ng bansa, to our national development. Because both men and women ay yung kanilang mga concerns ay natutugunan. Okay? Now, let's go to anong mga results ang ini-expect natin in relation to those gender issues which we mentioned earlier. Anong mga resulta ang gusto natin mangyari? Well, let's have it here. Longer stay in school of boys, where male school dropout rate is particularly high. So, instead na maalis sila sa school system, no, nawawalang mga kabataang lalaki at maaga silang nagtatrabaho, meron ba tayo ng programa para sa kanila? No? Para sila ay hindi mawala sa kanilang pag-aaral. Kasi syempre, pag hindi yan nakapagtapos, anong buhay magkakaroon ng mga ito? At magkakaroon din yan ng epekto sa pagiging produktibo ng isang tao at ng isang bansa. No? So, are they going to be productive later on? Next, increased enrollment of girls where there are barriers to female entry in the existing school system. Meron pa bang mga eskwelahan na maraming mga ipinagbabawal halimbawa sa kababaihan? Before, I remember, halimbawa pag buntis ka, issue yung makapasok ka sa ganitong eskwelahan. So hanggang ngayon, issue pa rin ba yan? O sana hindi na mag-issue yan. Next, improve school performance of male and female students. Now, in terms of later on, makikita nyo rin na in terms of performance of both boys and girls, makikita nyo na may pagkakaiba dyan. Mas nagpi-perform ang mga kababaihan kaysa mga kalalakihan. In terms of For example, yung sa completion rate, sa cohort survival rate, no? At kahit sa eskwelahan, kapag tiningnan natin sino dyan ang nagpi-perform, yung may mga honors and awards, marami dyan, karamihan ay babae kaysa sa mga kalalakihan. So parang anong proyekto ang pwedeng gawin din sa mga kalalakihang estudyante so that they can be helped, scaffolded, at hindi rin sila naiiwan because our target now is gender equality. Next, greater access of rural females and males to good quality education. So hindi lang yung sa mga urban areas, but even in the rural areas, that we provide quality education because supposedly quality education should be for all, whether that's in the urban areas or whether that's in the rural areas. Next, increased capacity of women to influence decisions in the education sector. So binanggit ko na to kanina na pagdating doon sa higher position, karamihan na dyan ay mga kalalakihan. Ironic nga kasi maraming tao sa Department of Education ay babae. Ayan. Next, improved capacity of public and private schools at all levels to address gender issues in the classroom and in the campus. So, meron bang mga gender issues both in the public schools and private schools? And as such, anong mga proyekto meron tayo dito to address those? At present, for example, in our case in Marikina, sa totoo lang, maraming pagkakataon pag kami bumibisita din sa mga private schools na nakikita namin mas maraming mga advocacies na ginagawa at present sa mga public schools. Siyempre, in the first place, may fund din tayo. But hindi dapat natin din iwanan yung ating mga private schools. So sa ating mga private schools, if you have some activities in relation to gender and development and you'd like to invite us, just inform us and we will visit your school for guided advocacies and for related mandate and topics that we need to share to you. Okay. Next, improved capacity of agencies in the education sector to plan, design, implement, and monitor programs and projects that address gender issues and the concerns of different stakeholders. This is what we're doing at present. We are preparing plan and budget, and of course, we are looking at the gender issues and concerns. Then, ang gender analysis ang susunod, pag-usapan natin paano yan ginagawa para lumitaw yung mga gender issues and concerns. In short, hindi tayo pwedeng gumawa lang ng plan and budget na walang ina-address ng mga gender issues. At kailangan nating aralin ito, may mga tanong in relation to gender analysis na kailangan din nating sagutan. So, gender analysis, bahagi yan sa proseso ng pag-attribute later at pagbuo ng ating mga programs, projects, and activities. Gender analysis is required at 2 points of the project preparation stage as part of the project identification and after the project has been designed. Meron yan ng mga tools. But ano mga areas, for example, sa education sector ang kailangan nating tingnan in relation to gender analysis? Let's start with the first one here. Gender division of labor and gender needs. So, sa aspetong ito, ano mga possible questions as we analyze gender issues, no? Has an assessment been made of the education and training needs, like in the curricula, teaching methods, schedules, of women and men or girls and boys? So meron bang assessment na ginawa, no? Doon sa training needs, education and training needs in the curricula, teaching methods, schedules of men and women, boys and girls, no? So or wala. Magkaiba kasi yung kapag meron at wala, may mga makikita tayong possible issues dyan. Next, does the project address the different education and training needs of women and men? For instance, Are households in the project area dependent on the work of girls or boys for income? Kasi may epekto yan sa kanilang pag-aaral. Kung ang mga kalalakihan o mga kababaihan ay nagtatrabaho in that particular community, so sa pag-design ba ng edukasyon para sa kanila at mga training needs, na consider ba ang mga ganun? Or hindi tayo ganun ka-sensitive? Kaya hindi rin tayo ganun ka-responsive. So if so, will flexible education schedules help females or males in their other tasks? So meron ba tayong ganung set up arrangement? Kasi iba ang kanilang situation. Example, may mga kabataang lalaki na nagtatrabaho. May flexible schedule ba tayo na pwedeng gawin sa kanila para hindi sila mawala sa education system natin? At magtuloy-tuloy sila at mabawasan yung dropout rate natin na karamihan ng mga kalalakihan ang nawawala. Next. Does the project recognize and accommodate the different roles of women and men, of their roles in the management of educational and training programs and institutions? So still, we're talking about the participation of men and women, even in managing the projects and programs. Does the project, through curricula, instructional materials, role models, and skills training, provide opportunities for expanding the roles and career options of young women and men? Ayan. So do we consider these things here? Next, has consideration been given to how women may be supported in their role of providing socialization and tutoring children to become good citizens, workers, and human beings? Ayan. Kasi sa totoo lang, minsan parang iniisip na ang ganito mga pagpapalaki ng kabataan, pagiging mabuti nila, pagpapaaral, sa tutorial efforts, ay para lang ba sa mga nanay? It should not be. Both parents, for example, should contribute to doing those things. Kaya lang syempre magkaiba ang sa usual setup na meron tayo. Sino ba ang may trabaho? Ang father, ang mother. So, kino-consider ba yung ganung mga bagay sa kung paano natin ginagampanan yung mga roles? So, those are the questions under gender division of labor and gender needs. Let's now proceed to access to and control of educational services and benefits. First question here, does the project ensure that opportunities for training and scholarships are equally accessible to women and men, girls and boys, to rural as well as urban females and males, to different categories of females and males, whether that's rural, urban, ethnic groups? So, opportunities for training and scholarships equally accessible to women and men, to girls and boys. So pagdating sa mga ganon, tinitingnan ba natin sinong nagbe-benefit sa mga opportunities for training and scholarships? Sinong pinapadala natin? Tinitingnan din ba natin ilan ang meron tayong boys and girls? Sinong pinadala in terms of ratio? Do we consider those things? So is information about educational opportunities readily available to females and males? For both educational opportunities, information about that or about those readily available to females and males? Have all methods of education delivery been considered to ensure access to education by girls and boys, young women and men who may otherwise not be able to attend school? So katulad nga ng binabanggit natin kanina, kung ang mga kalalakihang kabataan sa particular community na ito, merong ganun silang practice na nagtatrabaho ang mga to, may set up ba tayo sa Department of Education to address their needs? O hayaan na lang natin kapag hindi sila makasabay. Pag hindi sila nakasabay, makapag-aral pa ba sila? Pag hindi sila nakapag-aral, ano bang future nila? Can they contribute productively to building the nation? So those are the questions. Next, constraints to participation. First question, Has the project addressed any time and distance constraints so that girls and boys could attend class? Especially kung malalayo ang mga eskwelahan. Kaya nga ginagawa ng paraan that supposedly magkaroon ng mga eskwelahan na malalapit sa mga communities, villages, para hindi naman sila nalalayuan. Siguro sa mga urban areas, no, okay lang, pero sa mga rural areas, nangyayari ang mga ito, no? Malalayo ang mga eskwelahan. Tatawid ka pa ng mga ilog, ilang bundok, kawawa naman. Lalo na kapag muulan, may bagyo, may baha, no, may landslide. So, mas masarap ang buhay in general in terms of access ng mga malalapit lang talagang eskwelahan. Next, has the project considered financial cost of participation that may restrict attendance of females or males? Financial cost of participation, na-consider ba yun? Or hindi? Will the project improve women's representation in education boards? Binanggit na natin yan kanina. Has the project considered financial cost of participation that may increase women's and men's access to the project's training services or facilities? Masyadong bang mahal kaya hindi sila makapag-participate? Will women's participation in the project affect the attitudes of women and men toward women? Yun yung mga possible questions. Okay, so let me also share to you some of the issues dito sa ating, sige, stop share ko muna to, and I'll go to sharing Debit Order 32, series of 2017. Let's see, nasaan ang DepEd memo na yan. Na-open ko na ba siya? Let's see. Okay, itong DepEd Order 32. Okay, so let's see. It's opening, and then punta tayo dun sa part na, ayan, medyo lakihan siguro natin itong bahagi ito para makita. Ayan, so let's see this one. Ayan, so ano mga issues and concerns po dito? So for example, the Women's Empowerment, Development and Gender Equality, Women's Edge Plan 2013 to 2016, Chapter 6 on Education, published by the Philippine Commission on Women, or PCW, sum up the enduring gender issues in Philippine education as follows. It says here, boys are underperforming in key education indicators compared to girls, especially in relation to court survival rate and completion rate. Indigenous peoples fall behind in enrollment data and experience discrimination. So that's it. Next, higher education degrees manifest marked gender segregation. Next, ayan, pagdating doon sa pagpili ng kurso, no? Meron pa rin ng gender segregation. Yung nursing, for example, sa education, marami din mga kababaihan dyan. Pero pagdating sa abogasya, ibang usapin at sa iba pang mga kurso, no? So, dapat mabigyan ng pagkakataon kung gusto yun ng tao, no? Whether babae o lalaki, ay pwede siyang mag-aral ng kurso yun. Next, gender biases and stereotypes remain and are still embedded in the curricula, instructional methods, materials, and learning media. Kaya sinisigurado natin ang ating mga aklat, yung ating mga modules ay gender responsive or gender sensitive, no? At kailangang i-train din yung mga teachers, especially those who are preparing the modules, to become gender sensitive or gender responsive para yung kanilang output doon sa module preparation ay naging favorable for both women and men, boys and girls. Women and girls continue to be vulnerable to sexual harassment and violence inside schools. Yan. So if that's one of the issues na nakita nila. Now, pagdating naman sa results of the 2016 National Baseline Study on Violence Against Children by the Council for the Welfare of Children and the Systematic Literature Review on the Drivers of Violence Affecting Children by the United Nations Children's Fund, eto naman ang mga issues. Letter A, there is a high prevalence of violence against children among both boys and girls, and increasingly, more boys are becoming victims of sexual abuse than girls. Next, ayan, nakikita na ba natin yan ngayon? More boys are becoming victims of sexual abuse than girls. So what project do we make in response to that? Next, sexual harassment is the most frequent form of sexual violence, with girls being particularly vulnerable. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, or the LGBT youth, are also at risk of sexual violence committed by their peers. So ayan, nakikita ba natin yan? Pinag-uusapan ba yan? Or hindi na siya pinag-uusapan kasi parang okay na lang na nangyayari yun. Next, LGBT children are at a higher risk for physical and psychological bullying. So meron ba tayong project dyan sa eskwelahan kung yan ay nangyayari? No? No kutya-kutya, no? And more. Children's previous experiences of violence drive violent behavior in schools. Okay. And here's the last part. Despite the high prevalence of violence, disclosures are reported to be low. However, teachers are the most common persons children disclosed to and sought help from. Nangyari yan sa akin, may mga ganong cases. As such, teachers and school personnel need to have appreciation and understanding of children's rights. That's why bahagi din ng ating advocacy ay yung Children's Month. This month of, ayan, November. Ayan. So that's it. So, yun muna ang isi-share ko dito sa video tutorial na ito. Basically on ano yung mga projects, anong pwedeng pagkagastusan sa gender and development, ano yung mga issues na nakikita natin from the national level hanggang doon sa school level. At marami pa kayong possible issues na makikita dyan if ever specifically. And then, ano naman ang mga possible questions doon sa tinatawag nating gender analysis. Kapag consider natin ang mga bagay na ito, makakatulong ito para sa pagbuo natin ng isang maayos na gender and development plan and budget sa ating mga eskwelahan. At magiging sensitive, gender sensitive or gender responsive ang ating mga programa, proyekto at activities. Okay? So, hanggang dito muna sa part na to. I'll be making other videos para hindi masyadong mahaba. See you in my other videos. Bye for now.